Even though PSA shut down most of their grading card services, that did not stop this person from sending in a bunch of their LaMelo Ball Prizm cards, and the first sale has happened on eBay of one of these PSA 10s. Thank you for clicking on this video. My name is Adam from Herosforsale, and if you like sports card content and hobby analysis, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Now let's get into the video. As many of you know, PSA shut down most of their grading services, but we still had the release of Prizm, and people are still sending in their Prizm cards to get graded by PSA, and somebody sent in a bunch of Prizm LaMelo Ball cards. They got them back, and they have 5, and I believe it's only 5 of the 5 PSA 10s are all owned by one person, which I put that post right here. So that person then sold one of the PSA 10s, and the first sale of the LaMelo Ball Prizm card was $1,850. So looking back at the history of first Prizm cards, the first Zion sold back in December of 2019. That card sold for $560, and then going all the way back to the beginning of 2019, in January, there was a Luka card that sold for $98, and I think it was 85 cents, which I put that post up on Instagram, which I'll put that here now. And somebody said that the first Prizm Luka card sold for $35. Mount Rushmore Cards, who has a great Instagram account, I definitely suggest going to follow them as well. They post a lot of very similar kind of alternative stuff that I like to post, so I definitely suggest going to check them out. But they said that one of the cards sold for $35, the PSA 10 Lukas, which I was using some of the card ladder data, and the card ladder data had that first sale at the almost $99, which then that kind of fluctuates. And I got 2 Lukas for, I believe, $65 a piece. I think they went all the way down to around $35 a piece at kind of one of the lower points of that card, which if you're going back to 2019, basically all of 2019, you could have been picking up Lukas for that price, which it seems crazy to think of now that Lukas were ever below like $100, but for almost the whole entire year of 2019, they were below $100. So I think we're definitely going to see a decrease in that LaMelo price. I don't think the LaMelo Ball price isn't going to be more than 3 times what the Zion price is eventually, because I think Zion is in that $600 to $700 range right now for a PSA 10, which, if I had to guess, I think what's going on with that card, because in my opinion right now, although Zion he's crushing it. He's having a phenomenal season, and I'm actually surprised he isn't in more conversation for like an MVP type caliber player. Like he is breaking records that were previously owned by Shaq, and I think it's very interesting that I guess it's weird to say that Zion might be underrated, but I feel like, and maybe it's because baseball's back and there are other reasons why maybe basketball isn't talked about as much, I guess, but like I guess I'm not going to sit here and say Zion is underrated, but it feels like what's going on with his Prizm card is that the demand is kind of starting to catch up to the supply of that card because of how many there are. And they're just going to keep going up, and I guess that's what may happen with this LaMelo Ball card. Like, I don't know what the population or what the print run of the LaMelo card versus the Zion card is eventually going to be. Like, I know for Luka, there's probably about 15,000 PSA 10s. For the Zion, I would imagine it's probably a little bit higher. And then I don't think it's crazy to say that there could be 20,000 PSA 10s of this card for LaMelo. So the $1,850, it's definitely not going to be that price. Like, I would say, if we're comparing the two, like, I definitely think Luka should be the highest, and then Zion, and then LaMelo. Like, if I had to guess, I would say the LaMelo is probably going to be in the 75 to 85% range of what the Zion ends up being, because of, LaMelo was having a great season before he got injured, and there's kind of some rumors that he may be coming back. I don't think we know for sure whether he will or will not. We've had some pretty devastating injuries to some rookies with LaMelo. Now, also you had James Wiseman who got hurt, and recently we had Jamal Murray, which is super unfortunate, because I think Denver really had a good shot at taking on the Lakers and like making it to the finals. I guess the NBA playoffs are going to be kind of interesting, because I feel like I don't know. It feels like it's inevitable that it's going to be the Lakers versus Brooklyn, but at the same time, I feel like going in that maybe the narrative is that anybody's going to have a shot, but I feel like it's almost inevitable that it's going to be Brooklyn versus the Lakers. But either way, so this Lamelo card, I think, like I said, I think it's probably going to be in that 75 to 85 or 75 to 85% range of the Zion card, and I think the population, I think, is going to be what affects that card the most, because I just see there being maybe 20 to I don't know, maybe 25. Like, I don't know how crazy it's really going to be for these Prizm cards. Like, I don't know what the print run. Like, I know that some people did a if you can kind of calculate print runs, like if you're looking at PSA population versus how many silvers are in the box, I believe, and then you can kind of calculate where the print run is based off of those numbers. Now, that's not something that I've done in the past, so I don't have as much experience, but I'm sure if you were to Google it, you would be able to figure out, I'm sure there's articles that are written about it. It's not something that I've done myself, but like I said, the person that sent in these LaMelo Ball cards, they sent in, I don't know how many they sent in, but they have 5 of the 5 population, and I think this is a concept that I'm going to talk about in another video, but I think this is kind of a scenario where we sort of know which card now is the first LaMelo Ball Prizm card. Like, we know that whatever card has the lowest PSA certification of these 5, because this person sent in the 5 and they have, I believe, the 5 of the 5 population. I don't even think that actually, if you go to the pop report, like I was looking this up yesterday, or the other day, depending on when you're watching this video. But I was trying to look up the pop report, and I don't think Prizm is even up on PSA's website yet. I think they only had the Prizm draft picks and then the NFL Prizm from this year, and I believe they had baseball Prizm, which I think, or maybe it wasn't baseball, but I know for a fact they had football, but they didn't have basketball up yet. So we don't officially know how many of these cards were sent in, but I think it's interesting that somebody. And I think this is exactly what a lot of people expected would happen. Like, I think a lot of people expected that people would still send in these cards. Now, I think one of the comments that I got on Instagram was somebody said they'd be surprised if this card got paid for. And unfortunately, that is a possibility. That is something that does happen. People will put out these comps, or they'll troll, or they won't pay, or whatever. Also, with the return policy, I don't know if this is one, like I said, this is a problem that I have with eBay. I wish they would change this. Is if someone pays $1,850 for this card, like, what's to say in 30 days if this card sells for $400, $500, $600, $700, they don't just return it and buy a different one. They could essentially almost buy 2 for the same price as the one, which I think is sort of an issue with the return policy on eBay. I wish you weren't able to do that, but I don't know. And I guess it's a negative way to look at it, in a way, I would say, but it's something that I think it's a possibility. I hope that it doesn't happen, and I definitely don't think the 1800 is going to be the comp for this card going forward. Like, I think we're probably going to steadily see this card decrease, because I think one of the first PSA 10 hoops cards for LaMelo Ball, I believe, was in the $1,200 range. I think that we are going to see a lot more of that hoops come back. Basically, any of the products that came out before the PSA shutdown, we're going to start to see a big, kind of almost a flood into the market, because they're getting a lot of the orders sent out. And I believe someone tweeted this out. I'm not 100% sure if this is accurate or how they have this information, but from what they were saying was that PSA said they were backed up from July of last year, and that they are sending out some of the August orders. Apparently, this is just something I saw on Twitter, which anytime I say I saw this on Twitter, take it with a grain of salt. But I did see that the person was saying that PSA has shipped out some of the orders that they were getting in August. So, just in the short week or two that they've been closed, they've been able to close the gap on almost a month's worth of cards, which I guess, I don't know, and I think it's kind of an interesting conversation with PSA shutting down. Like, are graders maybe feeling like there's a little bit less pressure, and now they're focused, or yeah, I guess they would be more focused because there's less pressure, or is there more pressure because now they have to get these cards graded and get as much of the backlog? Like, I do think it's going to be interesting to see how much of the backlog they actually actually come out with. And I think it would be cool. I know they would never do this, but I think it would be cool to do if they did like a countdown clock like they did on New Year's Eve, like of how many cards are in the backlog, and like every day you could see they graded 100,000 cards today, 200,000 cards today, and every time a card was graded and taken out of the backlog, the number went down, like almost like YouTubers when they almost have 1 million followers, like they do that thing where it goes up. I think it would be cool if they did it in the reverse, where PSA put up some sort of reverse clock where you see how many cards are left in the backlog. I guess it would be interesting to see the transparency. I don't think PSA would ever do it, but that's kind of just how it goes. But so for this Lamelo card, I'll be interested to. Another thing I'll definitely be interested to see is how many people send this card in, because what I think ends up happening with this card is, or what I think ends up happening kind of with PSA and the grading of this card, with there only being those 2 high dollar services, any of these cards that are coming back, we know that someone spent a lot of money to get them graded. So I think the drop off in price isn't going to happen as quickly, because I don't think there's going to be as many cards flooding the market of the PSA 10s, which, if you were getting even the middle service, probably would still take around 6 months. Like if you were getting like a 20-day, I believe a lot of people were saying the 20 days were still taking like 4 to 5 to 6 months. Like when I sent in a 20-day last summer, I think it took actually probably like 4 months it ended up taking, which was double the amount of time. And I know that PSA doesn't say how, like they say how many days it might take, but they don't give you really the full picture of how many days it's going to take. But a lot of the people who do group subs, they kind of say, so I don't know. It's actually kind of an interesting dynamic there with group subbers who say it's going to take this amount of days, but it never does. So I'm not sure why. I wish there was almost more communication between PSA and maybe group subbers where they tell you actually how many days it's going to take rather than saying it's going to be 20 days. Because, and also the thing that I don't think many group subbers say is that it's a 20-day based on when they open the package, not when PSA receives the package. So like the backlog, there may be a ton of 20-day services that are just in the backlog that are behind 45-day services that PSA doesn't even really know about. So I don't know. That's kind of an interesting kind of little tidbit that somebody said it on like some podcast, and I hadn't really thought of it that way. So it's interesting that maybe PSA or group subbers really don't promote that. But like I said, the first Lamelo card has sold on eBay, $1,850. I'm definitely interested to see what you guys or whoever thinks what the price of this card is eventually going to be. So if you have a thought on the card or what the price is going to be, make sure you leave it in the comments. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.